Hi, everybody. Mike Hancock here, and the chairman of Circle of Excellence Group of Companies. And welcome to our Global Intelligence Update. Milan Milosevic, what can I say? He's had an extraordinary life, incredibly successful person, Circle of Excellence Gold member as well. And really, he came from building a massive property company to focusing on something that he really loves, which is speaking. And one of the things that he's been able to do in the last few years is turn that into a brand that he calls Millionaire Speakers. And he's been synonymous with helping people, not only in his own country, but around the world as well, just become so much better speakers than ever before. So, Milan, welcome to the call today. I know you've got a lot of precious things that you want to share with us, and over to you.
Thanks so much, Mike. So great to have you, having me, basically being part of your event and being part of your entire network. And it's really honor and a privilege and pleasure to share the journey. And it's for me really is about, we spoke about a bit earlier. It's about that growth, right? We always look back to see how far we come, and that becomes for me a bit of a measure of, okay, you have grown, but what else is there, right? So if we look at the journey of a speaker, of a business owner, of a person who wants to grow to the next level, we always ask ourselves, what's missing and who am I really becoming, right? And this speech today, right, will be more of that journey where I would like you folks to kind of do a bit of a retrospective in yourself, your journey right now. Where are you? Where would you like to go? And if my story can inspire you a little bit, give you a bit of a clue and guidance, then I'll be really happy to share it and inspire some of you and take you to the next level. So yeah, great to be here, Mike. Welcome everybody.
Lovely to have you, Milan, and we've got a nice group of people that are on board now. So, looking forward to hearing what's coming next.
mm, love it, love it. So I mean, most people know me as the founder of all these big businesses, and some of them they're 7 and 8 figure businesses. We changed lives of thousands of people. Started with property. Our company, Riches and Beyond, is the leading property investors network in South Africa, more than 50,000 people, and around the world. But not many people know that 2005, I was a college dropout, couldn't even speak English. Broke. My dad kicked me out of the house and gave me a choice. Milan, you can get a job and help us financially, but you're not going to live under my roof broke and not contributing, or you do something else or go back to school. So I tried college. I failed the same college twice, didn't work for me. And eventually I got a job to work in America on the cruise ship. And I took that job and ended up working the cruise ship for 10 years. And it was an amazing journey of travels and growth. And then obviously I learned the language working with about 60 different nationalities. And I met my African wife where we got married. And that's how I ended up here in South Africa, where I am right now. So on the way, really, when you get exposed to different people, different growth and positions, and I left my country in a pursuit of money. I want to make more money, and this sounds like a good opportunity. But then all of a sudden, if I can make more money, what do I have to do differently? So different opportunities like being an art auctioneer, selling future cruises, and eventually I started learning from great people. I met some of them, like people like Lisa Nichols, Les Brown, Bob Proctor, Robbie Kiyosaki, and then I had this great passion for writing books. And over a period of time, I wrote 9 books, and one of them with Tony Robbins, endorsed by Tony Robbins, was #1 on the Amazons. I'm also a best-selling author international. So from someone who couldn't even speak English, right? You look and say, "Wow, how did you even do that?" So because it's never-ending story of pursuit of better version of yourself that you can be. So writing was my old passion, and I dug deeper into it, and eventually people started asking to coach them and train them. And today I train politicians, executives, CEOs, and amazing people, not just to become better speakers, but also to become a brand, to stand out, to build their business, because a lot of speakers don't know how to monetize They have a great story. How many of you have a great story? I'm pretty sure each one of you, right? So story is there, right? How do we turn that story into a business, right? Because people want to hear your story, but why would I, let's say, hire you if I have a great organization? So I specialize in getting your story out there so that you stand out. And we get the story with the power of marketing. So I wear a couple of hats, right? I'm also head of marketing, creative director, and I realized that you can influence people and you can really stand out with the power of your story because your story is unique, might be similar, but it's really unique. But there's some people who might be going through similar journey like yourself, right? So if we get a story combined with the power of marketing, we create awareness of who you are. And now if somebody wants to hire you, okay, so you are a bit different. You're out there. You might have followers. You might have people who believe in your story, who've been supporting you. But then how do we really monetize? I can invite you to speak once, twice, three times, but can we really live out of speaking unless that becomes a bit of a business model that we use speaking only as a component to grow the business that we have at the back end. So over time, I learned how to sell from the stage, how to present, which is part of it, but also how to deliver that message more impactfully. And by doing so, I was able to build several businesses. So speaking again, if I can share the whole picture right now, we have three things, right? Speaking, marketing, and at the end becomes a business structure, right? Without speaking, we won't be able to sell. We can hire someone, but if you become a face of the brand, you become more personal, you become more trustworthy, and people want to go into business with you the moment when they realize that they trust you, right? So speaking again, that one component becomes a part of storytelling, becomes a part of what is your story, who you truly are, how did you end up here, and then by sharing that story, we attract the right people who will connect with you or not. And if they don't, that's perfectly fine because I don't want to work with someone who doesn't, we're not in the same level, for instance, energy level or beliefs. So why would I go into business, even though I might make some money, but from the start, it's not going to work, right? So my story should resonate with the right people who will connect with me personally and eventually become part of my funnel and my journey. And then I use the power of marketing, promotions, and social media, and we build our network to over 400,000 people where you stand out. So if I'm applying to speak at a conference, first thing I say, well, here's my story. This is what I've done. I wrote books here and there, but also I will promote you to my 400,000 people to create awareness of your brand. And I'm going to do the same thing with you, Mike, right now. So later on to promote, it's like a value exchange, right? So I love sharing. Sometimes I even speak for free, but the stage really is one form of marketing. So if I can go and touch some lives and I speak in schools occasionally, then I use the power of speaking to create awareness of who I am, what I do, and I run different brands, and eventually people will come through the funnel, start following me, and when I offer something, they're more likely to become part of that because it makes sense. They connected with me. They like my story. Oh, I was broke. Anybody been broke? Yeah, I've been broke. Milan, you've been broke. Anybody been divorced? I'm also divorced. And, I'm a dad of two. Milan, wow, we have so much in common. You speak funny. I speak funny. Well, maybe we have something more in common. So let's continue conversation. And 2 months down the line, 3 months, 6 months down the line, eventually you just might ask me to work for me. I mean, with me, and then eventually it's a seamless. I don't believe in pushy sales techniques. I believe in you show people who you are, and the more you connect with people through that storytelling, through sharing your experience, and how did you overcome this objection? How did you survive COVID, Milan? Your company been there for many years. Then eventually something might resonate with you, and people eventually going to go into business, and that becomes a really natural way of selling and delivering. And I'm using selling because speaking in a way is selling. Why we speak? We want to inspire people, but if we don't know how to speak, if we don't know how to deliver, if we stutter, for instance, and this is from technical part, then delivery is not powerful, then we not memorable, then we just become just another speaker. What did you talk about? I don't even know, but he was really good. But the only ones that I figured out are a great speaker that will leave an impact are the ones who will make you feel differently. So if we learn that delivery, that storytelling, where being vulnerable, we're being real and raw, like you, I can say I went through a divorce, but to me, divorce was the best thing ever happened to me because I still have a great friend, which is my ex-wife, still a business partner. We co-parenting, right? And I had to step up and not to be in her shadow to realize what am I supposed to do with my life, right? So one bad thing you might say turned out to be really good for me, right? And then I can say, yeah, I've been broke, a college dropout, but if I wasn't there, I wouldn't feel need to pursue something else and better to see what else is there for me. And that never-ending journey of growth, it's something that I'm really passionate about, that I had to discover. Am I going to settle down in a job I didn't like for the rest of my life? Or maybe I'm meant for something greater. Like Mike said to me a while ago, and Mike is one of my great mentors. So great to have you, Mike, to see you again. It's always about, Milan, what do you really want? What's your purpose? Where do you see yourself in 5, 10 years from now, right? Do you want to um, just settle down and do nothing for the rest of your life? Or if you think that you have greatness within you, that you have ability to change more lives, would that be worthwhile of you taking risks and pursuing that less traveled path? And I say, you know what? Let me see for myself. But one thing I know, I don't want to settle down. I don't want to just say I want to retire tomorrow and travel. But if I can change more lives, maybe that's what I was meant to do. And I believe that purpose eventually finds you. Yes, and when purpose finds you, you just become in alignment. And I think this event is in alignment, and people who are willing to learn and grow like yourself, you got to be in alignment with people who are teaching you. Because we like to say we choose our mentors wisely, and when student is ready, teacher will appear. I hope this resonates with you guys as well. If you have any questions, again, write them down. I just saw your comments here. We have people from Scotland. Scotland. One of my favorite movie, and maybe you like it or not. It's the Braveheart, right? Mel Gibson. I like the sounds of Scottish music as well. So great to have you, Via Rhoda, also from Wellington, New Zealand. Never been to New Zealand, but I've seen the Lord of the Rings. Always fascinating to me. So I'm using stereotypes to connect things. But again, this is a storytelling. So if I never been to your place, I have a great story to share, and I'll connect with you instantly. Bald guy connect with the bald guy instantly, right? So Mike and I we connected right away, right? So as a storyteller, we pull out the stories from our lives to share with others, and then becomes that instant connection. It's not even about, oh, I speak funny. It's about, my story might resonate with yours, right? So, and that's simple, becomes a powerful journey. Yeah, I see Godfrey as well. How do you find places to speak when you're starting, and what approach are you recommending? There you go, Braveheart. So, Godfrey, networking. And the reason why I joined this network is for the reason of, and I teach my students as well, your network equals your net worth, right? So if I'm all alone, if nobody knows me, and I go and I say to an organizer, this is Milan, and here's my story, they're going to ask me, okay, what sets you apart? What have you done? And that's where the social media and marketing comes in handy, and spoke about it. So there's a lot of different places, but through networking mainly. And Mike knows, by being international speaker, right? We would go and speak, we would build network with people who are organizers who are at that particular event. We would share our book, for instance, and I wrote 9 of them, right? Here's my business card. My business card is my book. Oh, I just want you to have it. Let me sign it. Next time, if you have any conference, let me know. I might be open to it. So I'm building relationship with people who are decision makers, right? So I go a lot to different conferences. I build network, and I just mentioned I'm an international speaker. I'm a keynote speaker, and this is what I specialize in. These are my keynote topics I would mention, which is obviously we can adjust that depending on the conference. And I would also apply directly. I have a lot of people that I would send, let's say, emails. Hey, Milan is open. This is his schedule. I see you have a conference coming up in a few months. And if it's in alignment with what I can talk about, I would also send an email, and simply like a speaker's promo reel that I have, or a speaker sheet that we created. I call it a media kit, like a couple of pages. Here's Milan, here's the followers, and this is the keynotes, and here's some links that you can follow. So networking really is the key, right? Without networking, becomes very difficult. You're waiting to be called. But my mindset is, instead of waiting, you create yourself. You create your own events, right? So I can advertise the free webinar tomorrow. I can put a little bit of money into advertisement on call my database to join me. It's a particular webinar, whether it's property or speaking. So now I own the event. I don't depend on anyone, right? So I can have that event. I can be the main speaker or host. I can offer something at that event, and I would probably make more money than if I just go there and rely on being paid to speak. And that's what the business model becomes a funnel. So instead of, let's say, the mindset to put you guys into this is, it's, let's say you're an actor. Most actors would go and apply, go to these auditions and wait until they get chosen. But I would buy cameras and I would make my own movie and put myself into the movie, which I've done actually. I'm also an actor, if you guys didn't know. I'm a stuntman, you know. I do martial arts, so it's one of my passions. So instead of waiting for these auditions, hundreds of them, let me just buy cameras through my business and hire guys to make a movie, and I'm the main character. So and I'm enjoying it, and I'm not depending on someone else, and I can get paid by myself, right? So like if you want to be in a magazine, and I love Mike's magazine, The Lead, right? So I would create my own magazine because I can, right? So it becomes a journey of, like, you want to be on the billboard, I would buy my own billboard, for instance. So that's the mindset. You make it happen yourself instead of waiting for someone. The waiting game is longer, but once you understand that you can actually create the game, then becomes a journey. You can have your own events, and you can connect with other people and create your own summit. You have partnership. Let's say I invite Godfrey or Mike or Moira, and Claire, and say, hey, I'm having an event tomorrow, and all of you guys come and share your journey, your expertise. But now it's my event. And at the end, I can say, I brought these amazing experts from around the world, from Scotland, from New Zealand, and they're powerful. You're going to learn a lot. And now my team, my database is excited to see you all. And now all of a sudden, you come as a value add-on to my event. You might even get paid or speak for free regardless, but I created an event, and I can offer something to people later on, and they've seen a lot of value. And all of us in alignment because we're part of the same network, and Mike wouldn't work with people who don't share the same energy. So it becomes like a seamless way of thinking, but just a different way of thinking. So you can find a lot of conferences. You can always Google them. There's a couple of platforms that I've seen a lot of demand. One of them, I'm not sure they have it where you're right now. It's called the bark.com, where if you want to be a motivational speaker or keynote or just provide services, they're always looking for people. And in the month of August, tons of females were requested from different companies. And I was like, I'm not a female, but I have female in my network, right? So I started recommending my ladies from my network, my students, and they were getting some gigs there as well. So it depends how you agree there, but there was a lot of demand, and that's only one of the platforms. There's another one I can recommend you to look. I think it's called All Conferences. Yes, allconferences.com. And that's the one that I came across, and they will normally list you pretty much around the world, all the conferences that you might come across, right, at this point of time. And if you pick the country, let's say New Zealand, Scotland, right, or South Africa, there's a whole list of them, the links that you can um, identify, and then you just basically send them inquiry. I see your conference happening up, and if you have any spots, I'm interested. So I think that's the one. Yes, thanks so much for sharing, Mike. And also, we have the club calendar as well. So Mike knows better than me, but I'm not really pushing to be a guest at the events because my business model is I have my own events. So I would speak when I get invited, when something is in alignment. Let's say if there's a sales conference, or if I go to schools, I'm passionate of giving back. I would go and speak for free just to create awareness of the brand and potentially find some new hidden gems in the crowd. But inspiring becomes a journey of transforming, and I see it. No matter how small the conference could be, you still never know who's listening. Could be that little kid there, lost hope, just completely devastated, and listening to you and say, wow, this guy Milan, who could barely speak English, started with nothing, was broke college dropout, and he's showing me that it's possible. Maybe I'm thinking differently. Maybe I needed to hear this today to realize that I have the control of my own life instead of depending on someone else, right? So So every stage is a bit of a promotion for you, but it's also a great opportunity to inspire, transform, and we like to say impact and influence other people's lives, right? We share experience, but we connect, we inspire, transform, and really give sometimes people hope, right? You can get a 7 and 8 figure businessman like myself. I can share it, and all of a sudden something resonates with you and say, wow, this is what I was missing, Milan. I had a great story, powerful marketing. I'm not selling. Why am I not selling? Maybe your funnel is not updated, right? Post-COVID, people just started believing, started just not being so trustworthy like before, right? So we had to like switch that. I mean, I have my team of people who are doing cold calling, and then we had to be creative. We had to be just different, inviting people to podcasts, for instance, like instead of trying to sell them something, like doing more events for free in person to make it happen, being really innovative in what's working right now, right? So I have a great question from Mike here, like top 3 tips to become a $1 billion speaker. So 3 tips will if I can share from the journey, is focus on these 3 things really. Number one is your speaking, your storytelling. If you're not certain about, I call them incidents from your life, your incidents where you overcome something. Let's say I can say I was bullied when I was a kid. How did I overcome bullying? Right. So that's my journey. But I can also talk about being bullied at work, being bullied at my company, for instance. I can talk about wherever we are. That's one of the journey. I can talk about divorce, right? So how did you overcome that divorce to rise to be the super dad and be there present for your kids? I can talk about how did we manage to save our company at the time of COVID when we used to do a lot of live events, right? How do we switch to online when we didn't know anything about it? So that story of resilience, but that becomes my story, my journey, right? So when you identify your story, which is number one, your story becomes your keynote, your moments of your life when you survive something, like single-handedly, when you rise above, then you have multiple stories. You list them up, and then when you're invited to speak, you know which story to bring out. If I'm talking to bankers, entrepreneurs, I'll pull out the story of building a business 7 and 8 figures and how do we survive, right? So number one is a story. Second one, power of marketing. Without marketing, you literally nobody, right? And we can say, I don't like social media. You don't have to have it. But how do you stand out? You stand out with a powerful delivery, powerful storytelling, being real, being you, and we use the power of marketing to reach more people. Otherwise, only your friends and family will know about you. And fortunately, social media is free, right? We can use it, and it just, even posting once a week, I would say it's better than none. So power of storytelling plus power of marketing. And the third tip really is about how are you going to make money out of it? Is your idea to just rely on to having speaking as a full-time job? It becomes very difficult unless you have a funnel, unless you have something that you can maximize. So let's say my funnel will be, I speak, but I promote other programs. I'm a coach and a mentor. I have books and I have different membership platforms and stuff. So that's the funnel. So I don't depend only on speaking. I love speaking, but it's not my main source of income. It's more like a side gig. It's more like I get paid for that, but it's mainly I'm doing that for the greater good, for the greater purpose. So if you focus on these 3 things, you're going to be fine. Storytelling comes in different forms, right? Technical storytelling, but being very clear with your story, who you really are and why are you who you are today because of your story. Number 2, marketing. And number 3 is that funnel, that business model. How do we monetize? Maybe right now you might feel what might be missing, right? So that business plan, like Mike was saying, what's your business plan for speaking? So we can speak for free, but I would always say, how many people I have in the room? Who is in the room? What are they interested? Right? How do I, through my storytelling, create my awareness so that eventually they might connect with me on LinkedIn or whatever that is, so that eventually they become my clients. So I realized that much more money and reward will come after speaking, not necessarily there, me being speaker and getting paid big bucks, right? You get paid big bucks when your brand becomes bigger, right? Everybody knows Tony Robbins, one of my mentors. We wrote a book together. He endorsed my book, right? But he would demand to pay big bucks because everybody knows them. But if somebody who's unknown says, hey, pay me $10,000, who are you? Why would I pay you $10,000? There's a lady with much powerful story who survived cancer, and maybe I want her better, and I'll pay her more. So 3 things, very, very simple. If you focus on that, we'll see what's missing. Most brands, they have a powerful story. They have marketing, but they're not selling as much. And then it's about how do we tweak what's working, strategies of creating that funnel and reaching that next level. So yeah, how do you guys feel about it? What might be missing in your case? What do you guys feel? Is it story that we have to work on a story a little bit? Is it marketing? Right? I mean, the more leads we want, we need to get kind of more marketing, but also the more budget we put in will give us more leads. But are they the right leads? That means it becomes a whole journey of right marketing to right people, even if it's a smaller group. Yeah.
Let me
You
ask
guys
you
enjoyed
this
this so far?
question, Milan, because I think you're asking a good question. I'm wondering if people are going to be shy enough to respond. So my question for you is, what's working for you right now in terms of marketing, and what's stopped working or is not working as well for you?
That's a great question. So we've been using Facebook for years, and it's been working fine to some extent. And what I noticed, we'll be getting decent leads, but people are not so reactive as before. They'll be attending the event, and it's normally, if you're doing webinars, we're doing a lot of live events. So let's say I have 100 people that are registered, about 30-40% will show up, and out of that, if I sell master classes or other products, I might close about 5 to 10%. But without a team, becomes very difficult, because South Africans here, my crowd mainly is South Africans, they kind of waiting to be called. They want to talk to someone. So my team will be calling people and eventually give them a bit more information before they make a decision. So Facebook works great, but we feel over the time, we're getting less and less good quality leads. So we're slowly shifting into LinkedIn. And there's a couple of great strategies we started applying that's been working better than anything else. If I can share with you right now, there's a lot of, instead of sending a DM, direct message into the personal LinkedIn, that executive, I would invite person to come to my podcast. And I say, hey, Mike, you're a great person. I see you also in the property business. Come to my podcast and just share your experience about your property journey. Right. So, and then Mike likes talking, and he would come to my podcast. And then what I would do, through that journey on the podcast interview, I would identify some challenges that Mike had, and I would simply be sharing my experience, how we overcome those challenges through our, let's say, property program that we have. So Mike would say, Milan, economy really hit me hard, and interest rates really was not really favorable, and I lost some value of my property. I say, how we solve this? Well, we bought property below market value, where the property was making us profit from day one. So we didn't really rely on market or interest rates or something like that economy. And then naturally at the end, I built a relationship with Mike, and Mike would ask me, well, Milan, how did you really solve that challenge, man? I see you have a massive network of people. How can we go into business together? So I realized this is a more natural way of approaching people who might be good leads for you. They come to your podcast, and you just eventually invite them to your events. And now I'm just like, not just Milan who's selling you something. I say, hey, Mike, we actually had a podcast together. Come to my event. And eventually Mike might even become part of my programs, because naturally we spend time together through that podcast. And it's a brilliant strategy. It's kind of not many people using it. So if you have a bit of a product or service or whatever you're offering, I would recommend get people who might be your ideal client on your podcast to talk about what they might be doing related to you, and then slowly show them how did you overcome objections, and invite them to come to your events later on. That works great so far, and you specifically get the right leads instead of trying to fish around in terms of growing a business. So that works great. Facebook is still working great to some extent, but I'm always looking for different strategies, and especially LinkedIn is a bit of an untapped market for us, where we all know there's more professionals presence. So I hope this helped you somehow. Yeah. And if you don't have a podcast, I highly recommend just start something talking about what you are an expert in, and then create awareness and just start inviting the right people, and you'll be surprised. I mean, there's a whole list of thousands of podcasts where they're looking for guests. And if you don't have much of a marketing right now, you can become their guests and use that material like we're doing it right now, right? Later to share and post, and you can use that for your social media. Just to create a bit of awareness who you are. And if I invite someone, I don't have much presence. Hey, Milan, come to my podcast, but you don't have any followers. Why would I be bothered? But if I build that presence, which I have, well, come to my podcast, 100,000 people will see you. We have a massive group of 100,000 people. People, 100,000 people will see me. I'm willing to go and share. And not only they're going to be my guest, they're going to share my podcast on their social media networks. And so I kind of killed two birds with one stone, right? So it's like, again, value exchange. And that's pretty much what's working now, but really being open to new strategies, watching what other guys are doing. And you never know when something's going to come your way. They're like, oh, this is different, but it's working for them. I'm willing to learn. Let's see. Let me see and let me master that. There was one guy I follow, Matt, like something on the LinkedIn, who doesn't do any ads, but he built his business to $3 million. And he's from Australia, actually. Mike, you're a neighbor somewhere there.
Right.
Right. Maybe you know him. And I follow the guy, and he literally gives a lot of free content, a lot of free playbooks and guides and stuff. And eventually he learned how to sell through DMs, invite people to connect, and eventually, without spending any money on ads, if we say we don't have money to spend, then you learn the strategies that might work better. Bit smarter, different way of thinking. And he mainly uses LinkedIn to build his business, not Facebook, nothing. He doesn't even do events. He's got a platform that he would invite people to join and to learn how to grow on LinkedIn, which that's what he specializes in. So those kind of people that we can identify, follow, and watch, and eventually we can just replicate their success. It's allowed, and they want you to replicate, but also they come with the different ways of becoming part of the network. Yeah, hope this helps you a little bit.
That's great. Milan, what are people looking for these days in terms of an event that they're going to go to? Because obviously there's a lot of events, and obviously people think that they're time poor, and there's so many reasons to stay at home now with, all the technology. What are they looking for to get them off their butts and get them to an event?
That's a good question, right? So ideally we should have a live event in person, right? And then the people like that interaction is much more easier to build trust. But if I'm creating an event, I need to be different. I need to be interesting. I need to show right off the bat what this event is going to do for you and the outcome, instead of, are you ready for this? No, it's like, here's 5 steps to 7 property deals in 12 months. Straight to the point. Works better, because if I open my email now, I don't know how many emails, right? So I'm like, I would just scroll. I don't have time for this. I'm running businesses, right? So, but the one that will catch my attention is the one that is, oh, what's this? This is different. This is interesting. Shows me right away what can I, in my mind, expect. So if it's straight to the point, catchy hook of the title of that event, but not to be too vague. And we can use now these AI ChatGPT to help us to create those titles. If it's too vague, it's just like another one. But if it's like straight to the point, how to do this in this period of time, then becomes, if it's related to where am I right now, then I might be interested. I would register, but now there's another challenge. I can register, but to get me now to attend. So now that's something from the moment of registering for the event to the actual event, there's a process. Am I going to show up? Am I caught up? Okay, I register, you got me there, but now for me to show up. So we'll be sending a couple of emails or notifications before actual event to get you excited, right? So, and this is I learned from a great friend of mine, Louis House, who's one of the top 10 podcasts in the world. So he'll be sending emails before the event just to get you excited in terms of, here's some story of this person. Here's another story of this person. Oh, here's another one, the third one. Oh, okay. So it's not just an event. There's a lot of stories. So every day, if I'm getting these emails with stories, successes, okay, now I'm interested. I'm more likely to show up at the actual event. right? So, and SMSs would add on top of that. So this is more like as a reminder. And then when the event happens, now it's about the delivery, right? It's about the delivery, and that's a structure we can talk about some other time. But then after event is also a very important time, because a lot of people don't want to buy online. They'll watch it, I'll think about it, right? And then eventually I'll send more emails afterwards about more different things, more stories, and encouraging now using the scarcity and urgency and deadlines. And eventually my team might call people. So that's basically the structure. If I'm just relying on you registering coming to our events, we're not going to have many people. So got to be something in between before the event and actually. Some of my best hooks. Now, great question. So I can tell you, let's say from the property journey, one of my that I'm using even now as we speak is 5 steps to 7 property deals in 12 months. That's one because I present to my property crowd. If it's, let's say, speaking, build a business to 7 figures with the power of your voice, or in 12 months as well. So you can put a time frame. I like those little steps that I can follow. So you can use, let's say, this example and go to ChatGPT. ChatGPT, here's an example. Give me 10 similar ones. But also, this is what I do. This is what my service is. Create me a catchy title that will attract people and give them right there in front of the bat so they know what to expect. Or I have a lady, 7 deals in 6 months with no money, for instance. Or have your own development in 2 years, right? So, because we also train people how to become developers. Or make money out of someone else's properties with Airbnb, right? So rent to rent, if you know that. Mike know it well, so being in property space as well. So there's a lot of things. When we identify what are we teaching, then we can have a couple of options and we just turn them around. And I will probably create some promo videos as well. So Moira, I hope this helped you, Godfrey, as well. Moira says, what was your topic when you were sharing stage with Les Brown, and what was the Les speaking about? I love a picture of how they fitted in together. So this is a funny story. I was so starstruck back in the days, and there's this guy, Les Brown, showed up. You got to be hungry, right? So you have greatness. And I'm like, this little guy, I think it was 2014. That's where I met him. And I'm going there. I just want to meet Les Brown. I just want to shake his hand. So I was married to my African wife back in the days, and it's 2 of us. So I just want to meet Les Brown. And he says, like, you stand here, and you lady, you stand here. Let me hug you. I'm standing in between 2 greatnesses. I'm overwhelmed. Like, wow, this guy's even bigger than life, right? So, and I took that photo, and later on we went into the conversation years later, and I had the opportunity to write a book with him. And later on also there was another event, we were sharing online event when Les Brown was also, and I came later on, and that was the one we shared a stage, not like a physical stage, but more like an online stage with Les Brown. I was actually on the stage with him. So we all have these people, like Mike for me is like that star always looking up to, like this guy, he kind of took me to the next level. I'm happy to be part of it. So there's always someone, and it's great to have you, because you look at yourself, who you can become. You want to be like them, but you can never be like that person, but you can take something from them and mold yourself. So that's why I learned. Lisa Nichols is actually my great friend and mentor, if you know Lisa. I learned from Les Brown how to deliver, a power of the voice, right? Lisa showed me a bit of a movement on the stage and the being more vulnerable, right? Tony Robbins, straight to the point, which kind of it's more in alignment with my style, but eventually I'm a combo of Les Brown, Lisa Nichols, Tony Robbins, Robert Kiyosaki. Then you become Milan, right? You can never be like me, but you can be the best version of yourself that you can be. So when you know who is your role model, we can learn from them. We can pick up a thing or two, and then you just one day you wake up, it's you, right? So Les is powerful. I mean, since I was a kid, I saw him like, I want to be like this guy. I can never be like him, and you don't have to. You can just see how far you can go and what that is. Right? We all have those role models, like watching movies back in the days. Something got to be a trigger and pulling you from the point in your life where you were. So I started doing martial arts when I was a kid, watching those martial arts movies, right? But that was my direction, right? This kind of pulled me out of being bullied to kind of focus on a sport, right? And then seeing all these great speakers, I love that. I want to be on a stage one day myself, and then you get there, it becomes powerful. Right. I hope this helped you a little bit. So So there, so it's more of a topic then was, because Les Brown is all about motivation, is all about becoming better and stronger. I think at that point I had something about power of resilience and overcoming challenges at that point of time. And then I was sharing my story of going through all these difficulties. And yes, he's very relatable because it's very universal, right? So Les can come and you're like, what is he going to come? He's going to motivate me, but it's the delivery. If you pinpoint what does Les talk about, it's always about you have greatness within. You got to be hungry. That's his style. That's his message, right? My story is, hey, Milan, who was broke, college dropout, couldn't speak English, and now he trains politicians, executives. So people know me based on, because I repeat that all the time, all the time, all the time, right? So you have a routine to put yourself in a powerful state. I go to the gym in the morning, I punch a bag. I gotta tell you, but that's my way. I wake up in the morning, I do a bit of a yoga. There's a great exercise I can recommend you. It's very simple. It's called Surya Namaskara. You can find it online. 12 exercises, very, very simple, just a bit of a stretching. And you can also add the meditative state of repeating those. They have a whole list of those. But even without, it's 12 exercises times 12. So you fill up this cycle of 12 repetitions. It takes about 15 minutes. Surya Namaskara. And gets you in that alignment that literally stretch your body, pretty much all the parts. Very simple exercise, but 15 minutes later, you're literally neutral, alignment. There's no overly hyped. You're in balance. And I do that in the morning and normally before the event, because the anxiety never fades, but becomes part of you. You accept it. If I'm getting on a stage, a couple of deep breaths. There's a great techniques I use, like 4 breaths in, 4 seconds hold, and 4 breaths out. Do that a couple of times, and then you go back to that alignment. Really, it's about seeing what works for you. But this yoga exercise, it works for me great. And gym saved me literally. If you just by going there, by doing physical transformation. Tony Robbins said this a while ago, if you're feeling in a different state of mind, depressed, anxiety comes overwhelming, simple breathing, changing your physiological state will put you back on track. Push-ups or something, just physical activity, or just like being pumped up, like something, blood flows and breathing will put you back on. Exactly, balancing the yin and yang. I love that. I love that. So there you go. And I see, God, for you share this video. I'm going to check it out. So whatever works for you. I love doing meditation is great, right? Meditation is always great reminder of mental state where you're right now and being in balance if you're looking for balance, right? But sometimes I need to be off balance to get things done, right? If I'm too balanced that I don't want to do anything. Sometimes I want to spend time with my kids watching movies like we did last night, cartoons, right? So to enjoy the actual speaking when you're doing it, yes, 100%. You become a speaker because you're loving it, because you love being on stage, because you see how much impact you can bring. And Mike knows me better than you folks, but I'm pretty introverted. In a smaller group of people, I'm always the last one who speaks. I let other people talk. Like, I'm quiet. But when I'm on the stage, I'm the loudest because that's my playground. I learned how to love the stage and behave. And first of all, nobody can interrupt me. In a smaller group, people just say, hey, this on the stage, it's me. It's my game. It's my playground, right? So ask me questions after the event, not during. And I'll tell people. And then I can deliver, and then you deliver and you see the impact, you see nodding, and you see people come shake your hand later on. We're doing it for that because there's a greater reward than just making money. It's about, wow, Milan, thank you so much for this. I really appreciate you being open to sharing. Hey, Milan, I want to buy your company. I had that offer. Somebody offered me a couple of years back. I was in South Africa. 5,000 people, massive event. Was it National Achievers Congress? Robert Kiyosaki was there, and I had like 5 minutes to share my story. I share my story, and a gentleman came to me and said, Milan, I want to buy a company. I said, what do you mean? Yeah, I want to buy a company provided you're part of it. Your story resonates so much with me. You reminded me of me. I left my country, Romania, which is a neighbor country to Serbia. And you literally reminded me how I started with nothing years back. Today, I own a massive company. And thanks so much for reminding me. I want to buy your company. Here's 70 million rand right now. That was about $5 million. Right after my speech, I was like, let me think about it, right? So what would you do? I don't know. Would you take it? That was before COVID, by the way. And we politely said no. And the reason is we were making about $5 million a year. And he offered me $5 million. And I said, we normally value this 10 times more. So if you offer 50 million, I will consider. So we said no, but then COVID happened and I kind of regretted it later because it affected everybody around the world. But that's another story to share. So you never know how powerful your delivery can be and who you're going to meet. And then eventually that becomes your journey. That becomes something I love doing. Even if it's an event like this online or in person, it just becomes a joy, becomes a skill I learn, and you just want to do more. And if you don't do it for some time, you kind of miss it, So I use every opportunity to speak because it just becomes part of you, right? You become good at it. And just even if you don't get anything from it, you really got to enjoy the journey. You have to enjoy the journey because speaking not only gave me profit, helped me build a business, but gave me more confidence, show me who I really am, made me more powerful. So I'm not that little kid, shy kid like I was back in the days. Now I can talk in front of thousands without even blinking. I've done it many times, right? So that is that confidence. And tomorrow, if I'm talking in front of some important person, comes out of it, right? So becomes, so I always encourage people, learn the power of speaking, learn that skill. It will change your life over time. And one thing as well on top of that, you become sharper thinker. You become much more focused because if I'm on the stage, I'm not focusing on my presentation only. I'm looking at this person in front of me who's got arms crossed. I'm looking at person who's leaving now. I'm looking for the one who's upset. I'm looking for the one who's smiling. I'm looking at my projector who just got frozen. I'm looking at, what's come next? Like, did I say the same thing? Many things you learn to focus on. You learn how to multitask, but also through that, my presentation goes, right? I'm still talking. I'm thinking 10 steps ahead while I'm on the stage. You see, while I'm looking at all the other things. So you learn to become sharper, put it that way, to handle many things. And I think that's a great skill that people can really teach you. You have to experience it. And having done more than 1,000 live events, one day you wake up and say, wow, I'm actually pretty good. I'm getting there, you can say, right? So, but you never arrive. You can only be better than you were yesterday, right? And then let's see what else is there. Let's see what else, what kind of challenge. I mean, I've seen it all, right? Broken projectors and frozen and canceled events. So you have to experience the challenges to learn through challenges to become better, right? How this answer your question?
Milana, I love what you just said there because I don't think until people have spoken that they appreciate how much multitasking and how far ahead you have to think when you're on a stage. I see Claire smiling there because she's she's spoken on more than 1,000 stages as well. And it really does sharpen you up. I'm interested in the process that how many events are you targeting per year? And what's your lead time on putting an event together? Because like ourselves, you do a lot of events. So what's your process for that?
So we use Webinar Jam as a platform. It's pretty straightforward. It's user friendly, and I would create a webinar in it, and I would just copy that event or just add another schedule. So we would normally do about 4 live webinars per week. Sometimes we would do recorded ones. If it's pretty good, okay, this one is producing, let me just create a recorded ones to run by itself. But 4 per week, that's about, let's say 16 per month. And that's like an ongoing thing. If I'm taking a vacation somewhere in the summertime here in South Africa, I would have like, let's say a month or two that it's recorded. But if I do 16 events, then I will promote one masterclass end of the month, for instance, that big one. So I'll be selling masterclasses on these webinars. And then on that masterclass, which is a 2-day event, Saturday and Sunday, normally last weekend of the month, then people will come and basically attend those masterclass, which is like 10 till 2 p.m. during the day. And then at the masterclass, the funnel really is we would offer coaching and mentorship programs or low-cost membership. So it's a funnel, right? So events, they're constantly running, right? We always keep adding more budgets, and there's some time of the year when it's kind of less attendance, less conversion, but it's never kind of never ending story. I mean, this business we've been running for years now. It's still proven with webinars. That's fine. When we have opportunity, we would do live events in person, right? The only depends of the venue that we would pick. And the venues have increased the prices after COVID. At some point, they were just like, okay, we're going back like pre-COVID. So, okay, so it's kind of a different journey. But what I feel recently, it is already 5 years after COVID, that looks like people have picked up a little bit. People back in the days that they couldn't afford it, a lot of people got affected, losing jobs, but now they're back somehow on track, and they're willing to learn and attend these events, and they're even willing to invest more than before. So I've seen that shift. So we kind of converting more people, even for the high price. We literally increased our prices 3 times, and all of a sudden we're selling more. Because we were worried like, oh, people lost jobs and it's still affected. No, they're back on track. 3 times more increased the prices for our master classes, and we're selling more all of a sudden. So what happened? It's just a mind shift. It's never about the price. It's always about the value, right? So when we
So
bring
you're
in
driving traffic to your webinars primarily from Facebook ads,
yeah.
and then you're running a webinar basically every day of the week, Monday to Thursday type things, and then a master class on the weekend, once a
So
month, right?
webinars, normally Tuesday and Thursday will be webinars, and Saturday and Sunday, right? Saturday and
Right.
Sunday. So Tuesday and Thursday will be about around 6 p.m. when people come back home from work, and Saturday is around 11 in the morning. We somehow realized that time works great, and Sunday is around 1 p.m. Because here in South Africa, people go to church on Sunday, either it's morning or afternoon, so 1 p.m. works just fine. So yeah.
Right. Okay. And then how many people are you getting on an average webinar?
So I would get about 100 people registered per day. 100
Right.
people registered per day. And now out of 100, about 30, 40, 50 will actually show up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can increase conversion. We send SMSs before that. There's a great platform, bulk SMS, that you can use if you never used it. So you would export the list from the webinar and import to the bulk SMS and schedule that reminder. But a webinar gen would send them reminders anyways, like 15 minutes before, 24 hours as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
about 30, 40, 50% would show up. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. And has your end products price, so that your big ticket item, how much have you increased that in price in the last few years?
We increased about 10%, but we also added more value to each of our programs, right? So if I'm talking about, let's say, our development program, let's say you want to become a developer, you want to have your own development, that one is about, let's say, $10,000, but comes with a clear outcome, will help you identify opportunity with funding, and then you eventually have your own development. So we increased a little bit, and we've seen pretty much the same conversion. So if I'm getting the good leads who see where they want to go, they see the value, they see the outcome, they're willing to pay. So it's not about the price. I mean, I had a lady, where was it? A couple of months back. I didn't even spend anything on ads, literally. And I'm going to share this quick story. I was literally posting a video. How do you overcome this particular challenge? So like, let's say, why are you still broke speaker and not a multimillionaire, for instance? And this resonates so much with the lady. And lady hop on a call with me, and she says, okay, Milan, I'm interested in working with you. Send me what you have. Second day, second meeting, she was willing to pay for my program, which is a high-end program, which is about $15,000. And she did pay after 2 calls, and I didn't even spend any ads. So makes you wonder, right? Am I delivering the right message to the right people? Or maybe people listening to me are they're not the right clients. Do I have to be a bit more focused and strategic? If my message is right, where is that right person in front of me that will buy that? You see, 2 calls later, they bought it because my message resonates with them directly. Now, there's always a question. If I can have 10 of these people every single month, then I'll be fine, right? But it's about finding them. Right? If I was able to find one, let me evaluate this whole process. How did I get in touch with that person? And let me rinse and repeat, right? So, and that then becomes the right journey, focusing on the right client.
Yeah.
Right. And you're doing the same thing, Mike. I mean, we went through the same process. I met Mike and we built a relationship. All of a sudden, I'm Mike's client. I'm Mike's student. And all of a sudden, I'm getting value. So I think it's a natural way of doing it. It just might take a bit longer if we follow that process.
Yeah. Okay. I think we've got time for one more question from anybody. If I don't get a question in the next 10 seconds, Milan, I'm going to ask it.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Jeffrey's done it. The majority of your revenues comes from higher tickets at low volumes or lower tickets at high volume.
So let me tell you, Godfrey, is it Godfrey or Jeffrey? I always
Jeffrey.
get these two. Jeffrey. There you go. I always get these two confused. So like this J, I was like, but it's fine. So the sale for the low tickets, sale for the masterclass, which is, let's say, $200, is enough to cover the cost of marketing. So to give you numbers, we would spend, let's say, $5,000 on marketing for the whole month, and we will sell about $6,000 or more, right? We cover the cost of marketing, but now I have people who paid to be part of the masterclass. And now the sales that we're getting from the masterclass, that's where the majority of profit would come, right? High-end, sell low volume of high-end tickets, right? That's where it's like a pure profit that we banking on. Now, if I can have, sometimes if we have 2 masterclasses per month, right, then I can obviously make more. So we always banking on selling high products for a high price to the low amount of people. But then again, if I sell a couple of those $10,000, then I'm good, right? So that's basically the idea. You can probably make profit out of low-cost products if you have a higher database. Like I have 400,000 people in my database. I launch my book, 1,000 people will buy it, right? And just what it is. But I cannot sell my book every single weekend, right? So I have to always offer something else. There's people who are using have very successful models like that, but you have to find what works for you and then do more of that in a shorter possible period of time. Yeah.
No, that's great. And to be fair, our model is relatively the same. We've always, even when people see us travel around the world as we do, our aim is to what we sell low ticket while we're traveling is designed to cover our expenses of travel. And that generates enough people to have conversations with that then go into a range of different higher ticket products. So fairly similar model there. Milan, thank you so much. We're right on the hour. We really, really appreciate it. Cracking the rich code, right? There it is.
Yeah,
so
that's Tony Robbins, so you can find it on the Amazon somewhere. So yeah.
Yeah, so you can find it. I appreciate your time and appreciate everybody's time. Folks, next week you've got me, so make sure you're here because it'll be exciting. I'm not sure what I'm talking about yet, but I have a good idea, and I think I'll be releasing it soon, Milan. I wish you all the best if I don't catch up with you in the rest of the year, and thanks so much for being part of this. Appreciate it.
Thank you, and all the best to all of you folks. Keep us updated. Wish you all the best, and keep speaking, right? Power lies in you. All the best, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.